if you Google African art, if you did this like 4 or 5 years ago, even if you do it now, you'll find like a lot of curios, you'll find like masks, paintings, beads, beadwork. One thing that hasn't been reflected in that Google search until now, or until African digital art came along, was that there's an entire creative class of Africans. There had never been a place for that to be collected or put for the world to see.
We showcase digital art from Africa, work that is inspired by Africa or done by African creatives in mediums like photography, web, design, motion graphics, film. There's real creative digital work that goes on here.
Mageuzi is sort of a twisted translation meaning transformers in Swahili. It's sort of a variation of another word, geuza. It means to change. So I decided, let me use that to base the theme of this animation on. It actually went viral on the web, and everyone was spreading it around, and it really grasped people's attention. I wanted people to think, because the past election in 2007, people voted really along the wrong lines. And there was a lot of chaos that broke out. A lot of bad things happened. So I wanted people to see the potential leaders in their true light, so that after watching that, they can vote in a more sensible way rather than just being led by the crowd. We have these politicians that can transform from vehicles to robots. So during the course of the race, I mean, they'll try to eliminate each other. The main point is to get to the finish line. So they'll do whatever it takes to get that flag. Some people didn't really like the ending. Some thought maybe I was paid by a particular politician to do something. One politician is already using Mageuzi to claim that, you know, she was the winner of it. All of a sudden, you see Martha coming from the back and she attacks him. It's not for me to guide you to vote for a particular person. It's up to you. Mine is to tell you vote wisely. It took about 6 months to finish the complete animation. Out of those 6 months, 4 months was rendering non-stop on all 3 machines. My power bill shot up by like 8 times. And I mean, the place used to overheat. I mean, my machines actually used to shut down at some point because of overheating. So it was kind of stressful. Also, power used to go sometimes and this kind of thing. People didn't believe that this was done by a Kenyan. There was the general feeling that Kenya, the animation is not so good. So when I released it, people were shocked. Everyone was waiting for the end. Everyone who's talked to me about this, though, like I was just waiting to see the credits to see who did that thing. And then when they saw it was all done by one person, one Kenyan, they couldn't believe. So a lot of them actually just wanted to see who is this guy. And most people would have considered my hand to be sort of a disability. They'd think maybe this is a handicap, to have slowed him down or whatever. I showed them, no, there's really no disability. Everyone has different things that work to their advantage. What inspired me to get into 3D was video games. I remember one particular game called Tekken on the PlayStation. The moment I saw that, I was like, this is what I wanted to do. About 6 months later, my sister comes back from Malaysia with a bootleg copy of 3D Max. And I found out you could create video games. They used to do movies with it and all this. So like I immediately started playing around with it, trying to figure out how it works. And I was like, this is it. I figured this is it. This is what I wanted. The digital animation scene in Kenya is really growing. The more work we put out there, the more they see what can be done and the more demand comes. Now you can actually focus on 3D animation and actually make a living off it. I mean, I also wouldn't mind maybe for a few years working with people like Pixar for the experience. Because I'd probably come back now to set up, based on what I've learned there, I'd bring that back to Kenya. I'd like to have like a fully equipped animation studio in Kenya, so that instead of Kenyan companies, advertising agencies taking work outside, all work that needs to be done requiring 3D visual effects to be done here, not just even Kenya, but around Africa. Something that has such a global presence that the kind of work we do is known all over the place.
Music has been in my blood for the longest time. Ever since my mom told people my son can sing was when she had me sing Roberta Flack's Killing Me Softly. And I think that was my first love affair with music. And for the longest time I was listening to my dad's records. I had this amazing dream of starting my own band where I could play music and record music that I had probably felt from the beginning. Music that I could hear in the back of my mind, and I didn't know how I was going to get the music onto a record. And I told myself I wanted a band. I didn't know what to call the band, or we didn't know what to call ourselves. And so there's a line in my song which goes something like Ngoro yakwa iraigwa paragasha. Our parents used to say when they meet a beautiful girl, they would tell them, when I see you, my heart goes paragasha. And paragasha basically means that you're unable to explain yourself. You're unable to say the innermost feelings you have. The lovely lady here is going to show us some moves. We learned something simple that everybody will dance to. We can keep repeating it. When we are there, if someone feels like they want to come up with a move, a simple, funky move, everybody can join and we all dance the same thing. So let's start with hers. And what you do behind her is you just follow. We're good to go. We just want to learn one routine and go and shock Nairobi in the city and see how they behave.
Hey! Some love. Power on my computer. Go to my Facebook, my Twitter. Profile picture, your avatar. Smooth skin, brown sugar. But no, it's not you. No, it's not what you do.
Dance crews have represented, come through, and they're just giving us their all. So, and everybody now wants to be a part of us, so let's see how that goes.
Stop lonely. OMG. Stop. Hey! Woo! Some quality love, yeah. I'm talking about a quality love, kind of love that I can have. I'm talking about a quality love, kind of love not from the heart. Stop lying. Stop cheating. Stop following. Stop poking.
It's a wrap. Like everybody outsiders just coming for us and supporting us the whole time. I'm glad they've done that. It never happens in Nairobi. Like people always walk away from stuff like this, but they were enjoying themselves. I love the fact that people who have probably never had my music or probably never had this kind of music were coming up to me and they're like, yo, we like your music. We enjoyed ourselves,
It's an idea he had for a long time called Kichwateli. It's work that speaks for itself with the kind of production values and the kind of inspiration that he has, the kind of artist that he watches and reads and learns from.
I think to cross, the scenery of Nairobi and travel in storytelling with this kid in different cityscapes, I think was a different choice because we've really not had a lot of music videos, not choosing the urban, nicer landscape of Nairobi, but more of the gritty grime places that are around here.
For me, I wanted to take people through this timescape, this sort of like metaphorical journey using just landscapes. In Nairobi, when you walk on a street, there's that feeling you have, if it's a place that you're safe, You feel yourself, is it a place that's very dangerous? And now as a filmmaker, if you're able to capture that in film, just without even any conversation, people are saying, wow, this kid was walking in a place that's very dangerous, or I didn't know that Nairobi looked so beautiful. It's being able to take the same things that people look at, but almost from another perspective. For people outside there, they just see, wow, this is beautiful or something. But in Nairobi, people who grew up in Nairobi, they knew this street you can't walk in that place. When we were shooting, you see when the kid walks, and there's this very dark place. He crosses the river. It's like a junkyard where he enters. That place is the most dangerous in Nairobi. And we got mad when we were shooting. We lost our computers, my hard drive, we were beaten up. And then we went ahead and shot within 10 minutes. In Kitwateli, I was trying to bring this kid who's from this post-apocalyptic Africa. He comes back to the real world and finds that things are still the same. Politics are still the same. He comes to this city and it's so hostile to him. And what happens is that he goes and in his sleep, he's able to go back to that city and affect it and bring the change he wants. I was trying to adapt the art of African storytelling other than an African story. An African storyteller, they used to be seers. They used to predict what will happen, to talk about the past and the future. So I was trying to introduce this new genre, Afro-futurism. It's still new, and it's a genre that I want to try and push. A new generation of guys in Africa that are coming up don't want their life to be dictated by what's happening out there in the media, and so they're trying to bring a new change. They're moving very fast. Internet is acting as a catalyst. I used to work alone a lot. Then I used to be hired to do post-production, like a 3D for an ad and stuff like that. And in the industry, I met lots of people. The guys that I find that are very, very good at what they do, they're hardly in the big studios. They're somewhere at home, in the suburb, in a small studio, working, doing what they like. I work from my bedroom. Ang means home. It's a Maasai word that means home. And that's what I try and make people feel when we're working together. When people come and that sort of collective feel it's home, so that you're able to feel you're doing what you love, being paid for. So it's like, yeah, you're being paid to play. When we were working, kids were like, Kitwateli, and that's where I got the name. They're saying TV head. People thought they're saying, see, there's a walking robot or something like that. I get inspiration from everywhere, from music, from comic book, conversation I'll have with my grandfather, me as a young guy. Being brought up in this current world, there's a lot of influence from all over. Good comic artists sometimes uses the space between the panels, and that's the place that you have people imagine. Some comics, they don't have speech bubbles and all that. So I find as a filmmaker, being able to adapt to that way. I don't really need people to talk or much of a script, but being able to tell a story using imagery, it's something that I'm just trying to explore. Since I'm self-taught, I don't know what it takes to make a feature film. I started with music videos, now I'm doing short films, I'm getting a bit into documentaries. A long time I'll definitely want to make feature films, but my films, not Hollywood. I want to make films that are global, like the standards are global, but people locally appreciate the films. People understand them. People go and watch the films because they feel this is our stories.
I think it's really well put together, and I know he did this on a shoestring, but he used what he had and he got more than what he expected, which I think just says something about, the determination of the African creative. Huh?
Si unipatie dakika 5 nafanywa interview kidogo. In Nairobi, when you wake up, the first thing to see it's found material. Waste material. You start seeing wire, bottle tops, metals, such kind. So the place I live, when I wake, I just came collecting them together, putting them together and such. I love environment, so I care environment. So yeah, this is my junkyard. American boobs, because I love boobs. That's why I'm making the series of boobs. Some of the boobs I made, I never saw. Yeah, I have Asian boobs, Caribbean boobs, European boobs, Mongolian boobs, Indian boobs. First I have Kenyan boobs, round, covered by half metal, but there is a space here. So it's kind of, yeah, they have its look, I think. And if you see it, and I tell you these are Kenyan boobs, you'll understand the reason. Like when I'm working on it, it's American boobs. I think they are bigger than Kenyan. When I make the American boobs, they are all big, but it's the glasses, not the boobs. But I call them boobs. There was a lady, she visited my studio like, a few months ago. She said that she want to buy my artwork, but before she buy, she need to know where I grown up. She keep buying artwork because of the reason of the story, how someone grown up, maybe on slum or such kind. And she count for me some people who grown up on a slum, and that's why she buy their artwork, because of the poverty, the problems I met. And I told her, no, me, I don't sell poverty, I just sell my artwork. If you love what I'm doing, you just buy. I told her we are different artists. They're the people who sell their poverty. So you need to go to their studios and to their place. Because here, if you come here to get the such story, you are on a wrong place. Yeah, and I refused to sell the artwork, and she left. And this me now. This my life, this my, As I say, I can't survive without doing what I'm doing.
Just a band of pretty much artists that we've come to, both appreciate and, love, yeah. They've persevered. If you think of this one word that they've done is persevered. Their love for music has moved them into doing their own music videos because they either never got exposure or were limited as to who would view them. And so a way to promote themselves was they started to create music videos for themselves about their music that didn't really involve them in the music videos. So people really didn't know who they were.
To scare the neighbors. That's me doing the. We've actively pushed the band as this group of people who are from Africa but are not necessarily your cliche idea of Africa. we try to make the videos interesting. So it's always like, hey, this comes from Africa. I didn't know they make stuff like this in Africa. Wow. I think we are more of a DIY band. We're involved in every single part of the production process, from the video to the music to the packaging.
We knew that everyone in the band was interested in different things. Because I was into animation and illustration, then I would make animations and illustrations for the band. Jim would make photography for the band and all this kind of stuff.
I think these are the first photos I ever took of the band. We shot them in a bedroom somewhere. I think Daniel is our most photogenic guy. We call him our poster boy.
So Jim actually wanted to do film, but we didn't have a motion camera at the time. The first two Just a Band videos, the first one is called Penny.
And it took so long to make. I think it took about 2 years because it was our first time making something. We learned a lot about how to work together. We argued, we fought, and then we finished the work.
And the other one is called Hey. And for Hey, we built a puppet, and then we had animations kind of like overlaid on the puppet. After we put out the second album, which is called 82, we put out the first video, which was Sinimbo, which was kind of like a political statement.
Forever can rain, forever can be bad, forever can rain, forever can be bad, forever can rain, forever, forever, forever.
It was just like dark and heavy topics. So we thought that for the next video, we could take like a blaxploitation type thing, because someone had just seen the trailer for a movie called Black Dynamite.
This is the most ridiculous video ever.
One of the interesting things that we did is we named the character Makmende, which is a word which Kenyan kids use on the playground to almost like taunt each other.
It was used to tell people to kind of calm down and stop trying to act like heroes, like climbing neighbors' walls or breaking things. You'd be told to just relax and stop being such a Makmende. So we shot that, and the YouTube count started going up, and we were like, this is kind of weird. The next month or so was just wildness.
I think it was Twitter that really tipped the scale and made it go mainstream, because from Twitter you had radio call-in shows where you would say your best Mark Mende joke.
The audience felt that they were participating in something, and I think that's why it got really popular. Then it got to the point where it was recognized as Kenya's first proper viral concept. And so that ended up getting us onto all these different media outlets like CNN, the Wall Street Journal's blog, and just all these blogs.
That's kind of weird, actually, that people would consider him to be some kind of role model because he just went around beating people up. After the video came out, we got calls from agencies asking us to have him like telling kids to wash their hands, and we're like, really? Like we don't even know why he was beating everyone up. So it's a strange phenomenon. If you ask kids who they want to grow up and become, it's rarely a Kenyan name that they'll give you. It's like Gotham City. People are looking for heroes. That's one theory I had.
I mean, in essence, ADA celebrates that they transformed sort of the landscape of, digital creativity within Kenya. Like, them continuing to do what they love and, being persistent at it allowed, our country to sort of change its mind about where we can go, as a creative culture. Because they create that platform for us. They do diversify what music videos sort of stand for. And because they push that in a very innovative way, it has transformed the mindset of most people.
We tell stories in our music videos. So we have all these characters lying around who have stories, and it's nice to have a bunch of people you can pick up on.
Our inspiration comes from a lot of the stuff that we watch, like movies, music videos, animation. There are directors that we like Michel Gondry. Anime directors as well, like this guy called Koji Morimoto. Guys like the Gorillaz and Jamie Hewlett, comic books and stuff like that. This band wouldn't have been able to start without the internet. I just have an idea and I want to put this thing out. Let's put it out and see if people like it. And then people tended to like it. Like, that's the whole business plan.
It's cool that we are able to connect with audiences that we probably would not have thought when we were starting that we would ever connect with. If someone in Japan, for example, says they listen to Just a Band, and you're like, how did that happen? And it gives us the motivation to keep doing what we're doing.
If we do something ordinary, like we get in trouble with the fans. So it's a nice challenge to kind of always be doing something different.
I think one of the things that has also been a highlight of ADA is that Africans are finally proud of themselves. I think for a long time, we just didn't know what was happening around each other, or we didn't know what the community of creatives were doing. And I think by exposing different people and showcasing their talents and what they're doing and what they continue to do, I think we've become proud of ourselves.
There's a cliche that you have to talk about poverty or give us blah, 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 or we are suffering or all that stuff. But there's guys who are just talking about stuff from the way they see it. Like, guys party, guys go have relationships, like all the stuff that anyone, anywhere else in the world would be able to relate to happens here as well.